Mm. Hello, everyone. We thank you for checking into
I don't
this.
see the recording dot.
It's
Oh,
recording.
there it is.
We thank you for checking into this, our 86th conversation. We are three Black Pride grads, and we're just talking photography. My name is Nelson. Joining me in conversation are my very good friends Mark Skinner and Greg Cleghorn. Well, graduates of the Fine Art Photography program at Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, New York. Additionally, each of us has decades of professional experience in various sectors of the photography world. In this episode, captioned After the Love is Gone, we're going to explore thought processes as one goes about taking a photograph. Think about this, for instance. Um, what goes through your mind as you take a photograph? Memories, emotion, family, light, color, composition, energy, time, space, etc. During that moment, there are times of euphoria. Are there moments of euphoria, excitement, anticipation, and other emotions relating to the photos you've taken? Now, the split second after you've taken the photograph, what goes through your mind in terms of that image's longevity? Have you thought about the life of that particular photo? What life will it have? A day, a week, a year? Is that something you envision when you're photographing? How does that life manifest itself? Do you have an expiration date on your photographs? Where do you go? Where do your lost photographs go? So those are all things you would like to consider as we go and talk through this conversation. So I will begin the conversation by starting with showing an image and just speaking to this image in terms of what was going through my mind when I photographed it. Um, in terms of what's going through my mind, because this was a preconceived idea, this is a spot that I continue to go through throughout my the last decade or so. So from time to time, I go to this spot and I take a photograph in this almost this exact same position. And so
Can't
what I
see the
just
image, Ken. What is it?
it's a photograph of a street photograph of in Soho, NoHo, New York.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, and it shows a triangular approach to a street corner. So one veers left and the other veers right. All right.
Okay.
And there are people walking about, and on the upper right side, it's the corner of Bleecker Street and Lafayette Street. All
Okay.
right. And it's atmospheric. Right. So it shows atmosphere. There's haze in the background. There are buildings and everything. There's new construction, people walking about. And there's a sort of a subway entrance on the left, so it sort of triangulates out. And
Is
it's
that
this,
the area where it looks like the like old New Amsterdam, New York? It's like cobblestones and narrow, nice buildings.
it's
Perhaps
a triangular corner like that, but it's not, say, for instance, Times Square on that corner, or it's not the location of the
It's not
Flatiron.
the Flatiron building, but it has similar dimensions.
Right.
but it
Not
doesn't look
the not
like.
physical scale, but it has a similar thing going on. I love it because it's got the two vanishing points, right? You've got the rather than one vanishing point in an illustration or photograph, you've got two vanishing points
Yeah.
because the street or the effect of two vanishing points. So and there are two vanishing points that replicate what happens when you have a one vanishing point painting or photograph, right? So that's really cool. I think the photograph is all about them, those two people in the middle,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And I think it's all about those two vanishing points, and it's about the sun coming from behind all of the subjects and casting a little bit of a shadow, kind of casting a very long shadow, the two guys on the right. And I think those three elements really are what this photo is entirely about. I think you could remove the cars and all the other people and just have that couple in the middle and the two gentlemen on the right. And I think this would it would be Just
That would make it
that's
a
all you need
photo
to illustrate.
illustration.
Mhm.
That would
Well,
make it a photo illustration if you remove those elements.
Well, I'm not saying to remove it. I'm saying that you could take this same photo without those other elements. But I think
How?
those three
And he
elements
wouldn't have shot
really
it. It
make
wouldn't have been
show.
his photograph.
there
I
are
mean, if he staged it,
now remember, guys,
I wish,
I
I wish
revisit
I
these.
could participate. I can't see the image. But go
Okay,
ahead.
go. Okay, are you not able technically to see the image, Greg?
It's not up on my screen. When you put a picture up, it pops up on my screen. I don't
Do
see
you
it.
want to take a moment to try and technically see the shot? Make any adjustments on your screen while we got a moment?
Uh, I'll try. I don't see. Go ahead, continue talking
All
about it. I'll
right.
see if I can
So,
bring it up.
right. So the main thing about this is what my thought processes were as I'm taking this photograph, and afterward. The thought process is to come back and revisit the same position that I've shot previously. So to tell a story over a period of time, over the period of not only time that spans weeks, months, but the time that spans years. So I keep coming back to this corner year after year to photograph almost the exact same position. And in this period in time, in 2018, this is what I saw at that point in time. What usually happens for me is as I'm editing in Lightroom, I'm making judgment calls as to the longevity of this photograph and whether I would keep it in my archive and what it represents to me. And to me, it represents a sort of a nostalgic New York, because there's some elements of it that don't feel contemporary. A lot of the elements feel old school, and so that's why I tend to think about this as a long haul image, which means that I'll refer to it time and time and again as the years go by. Now, it may not have been the exact thing I was thinking when I photographed it, but the continuity or the continuation of previous image to this image in the same spot dictates a certain aspect that I want to historically document. Right? And
So it's like
so,
your vision. You're looking forward. You've taken this new photograph, but you're seeing how it fits into other work that you've done in similar situations. So there's a continuing story. Is that what you're saying?
well, yeah, it's sort of like a compare and contrast, because what you're doing is you're compare and contrast the same vantage point over time. The same way that photographer who would photograph the same four sisters over years, 30 years, right? He'd come back and he'd photograph them again. So sort of that same idea, but not with people, just with a street, with a particular position on a street, right?
Hmm.
So that's what I'd like to talk about in this. And then there's a second image that is more of a reactionary image, which means that it's not staged. It's anticipatory, meaning that it's a standard street where I'm trying to just catch a moment, catch an energy. And I've taken this energy where it's again, Greg, it's a photograph of me shooting from the hip, and it's a crowd of people around, and they're up close and personal, and all you see is the back of this guy with a vest and white shirt, and he's facing away, so you don't know what he's doing, but his arm in a really weird position. So there's a thought about what he might be doing, and there's this woman who's walking in his direction, who's looking at him, and it just has a strange feel about it. Um, and so
Okay,
again, when
I'll just have to pick
yeah,
it up later because
yeah,
I'm not getting the same impact. But go ahead.
okay. And what it is the life of this image and what it's going to mean years down the road. You know,
Okay.
you're looking at it, you're making, because I didn't, when the photograph was taken, I was working on energy, and I really didn't see all the aspects of what was going on because things were happening closer to me, and I wasn't looking 8 feet away, I was looking 2 feet away, and they were closing in on me like this, and I said, click. Right. And then I didn't know what I got until I got back into the editing. And I said, holy cow. Okay. And so therefore, at the editing process, that's when I made the decision. Yes, there's longevity in this image for years. Okay. It has some emotional, it has energy, it's emotional, it has impact, and it tells us sort of a story. Uh, could be, yeah, you sort of leave it up to the viewer to decide what kind of story it is. And so,
go
get
ahead.
no, no, go ahead.
I got a side question to that. When you shoot stuff, do you sometimes shoot it with the thought that, wow, this would look good 8 or 10 feet away on a wall, in a 20 by 30 or a 30 by 40 or bigger? Does that ever cross your mind?
Not when I'm taking the photograph. Usually when I'm editing, when I get to
Okay.
see the images,
Good
but not
evening,
when I'm
ladies and
taking the
gentlemen.
photograph.
Welcome aboard the San Joaquin. At this time, the Cafe Lounge is open and
Okay.
serving.
Yeah.
We're located upstairs.
Cafe lounge is open if anybody's
There we
hungry.
have cheeseburgers, hot dogs,
Cheeseburgers, hot
Doritos,
dogs, burritos.
Just a cup of tea, please.
sodas, assortment of adult beverages,
Okay.
as well as snacks that you are able to purchase.
So
Ladies and
Okay.
gentlemen, there are no
Go ahead, Mark.
I'll wait till she's. What I was going to say was, I like this photo
Are
in
located in the car that you're sitting in.
the really natural reactions you're getting from the two women in the center.
Uh,
If this were used for publication, I would think it would be sort of like an article about being alone in a crowd, and you could have white text running along the coats of people on the left and the right. Maybe a double truck, photograph covering 2 pages of a magazine. Otherwise, I'd like to see this same type of image photographed with a slightly longer lens, because unless there's for me, I like it, but I think the information that on the right and the left creates a valley, but I
uh-huh.
don't think that adds a lot to the photograph, that information there. I think it's a place that's begging for additional information in some way.
Mhm. Okay. I
Like
see it
what?
as I see it as a
I
leading
mean,
line.
he captured what he captured. Said, boy, this would be
That is
better
true.
if you had moved over a little bit and shot it from over here. That's not what he shot.
Can you see the
I don't
photo?
understand. No, I cannot. But I'm
Okay.
saying you're trying
Well,
to improve
when you get a
what
chance
he
to see
shot.
the photo, well,
But
as it
I'm
is,
hearing what you're saying, and you're saying
right.
that, boy, it would be better if you shot it this way. And that's not fair to him, and it's not
Well,
looking
what
at
I'm
the
saying is,
reality.
it
It's
would
not the
be
reality
nice
of
if,
what he shot.
and I think that we all, Greg, I think we all know, the three of us have been told, if the photo work, if it doesn't work, it's not close enough. And I think it works, but I think it works in the context that there's a lot of people around 3 individuals, and they seem rather isolated. But at the same time, to have more impact based on their facial expressions alone, a longer lens with the exact same vantage point or cropping, it would make this a little bit more impactful. I think the subtlety, the beauty of all of their expressions and gestures are a little lost at that magnification. That's all.
Okay. All right. That's cool.
Does the image work for you, Ken?
Absolutely.
You're the guy who shot it.
Yeah,
No, it's good
absolutely.
enough for me.
Right. We're right, and that's see, everyone has an opinion, and I don't begrudge people's opinions. I will take it at what they thought, because all viewers are going to not think the same. So absolutely, I value everyone's opinion. Yeah, that's all. That's all. Okay, that's all I got. That's all I got. Hey, Mark. So I think we said. I'm sorry. Who did we say was next?
Greg.
Right, Greg. So I'm going to put your image up on the
Put up
screen,
salty.
and
Put up salty.
huh? Okay.
Salty.
So we've got your image on the screen now. The black and white shot that you submitted. Yes. Okay.
Oh, there it is. Nifty.
Oh, this is not cool. How come all of a sudden I can't see any of the images? I don't even know which one is it. Which one is it?
This is the
The
black
coral?
and white textural one. Close up
Of
of what looks to be
I think it's
rocks
coral.
or fauna or
Yes,
something.
that's a coral face, and that's not the one I just sent. I sent something else. But it's all right. Yeah. Well, I mean, what I was thinking when I shot it, I mean, I've got a thing for kind of like you with continuity and tiebacks. I think photography or photographers have an ongoing story, and they tend to
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming
shoot
in the
things,
Wasco now, right?
shoot
Wasco,
things that interest them, and
Wasco.
and again, like when you're shooting stuff a lot of times you're shooting things subconsciously, and you'll see something that captures your eye, and you'll take it, but you're not really sure why. Like I kind of like your topic in that after the love is gone, because I'll take a picture, and then I'll look at it later, and I'm like, uh, what was that all about? But then when I go through some of my other work, it's part of another story that's been ongoing. You know, so I mean, I've got
I
a bunch
think.
of.
Go ahead. I'm
You
sorry.
think what?
I think that this photograph can be used as inspiration for a Finding Nemo prequel about Marlin and his father as a black and white animated Pixar photograph film.
Well, thanks for that. But what I was doing, I've got a series of images of not necessarily fossilized, but just I have a couple of beach series images that tie in seashells, uh, washed up, all sorts of things that the sea kicks back. I got a shark head, got a baby shark head. I've got a series of beach images, and this kind of ties into that because I also have like a series of you know cool looking rocks from different parts of wherever I've gone. I'll take pictures along the way. But I kind of like the idea of birth and rebirth. That's that type of a theme of life. Where uh, like the coral, it was alive, but now it's built an island. So there's this continuation of life in that. I kind of enjoyed that. So that's why I captured that. Go ahead, next image. What's my next image? I wish I could see it, but do I have
Yeah.
another image, or is just that one?
No, yeah, you uploaded, but I didn't hear you say you uploaded additional images.
All right, no worries.
Give me a sec.
It's just
No,
just
give me a
just
sec.
that, but
No,
go ahead. But okay, I'll just continue talking while you do that.
it's your bird shot us up. Your birds, your pigeons.
Birds.
Hmm.
Yeah, might as well use the birds. Um, I do have again, like a photographer has a course. If you look at enough of their work, you can. It tells a story of its own. If you follow them closely, they're you know, an observer would be able to say, "Oh, that's so and so's work." Or if you look back at the old painters and such, you could say, "Oh, this was their early stages." When they were really into whatever trees or landscapes. Then they go into their next phase and they're shooting, they're painting still lifes and stuff like that. Photographers have the same uh, course of their lifetime in their work. So that's just part of it. I have a series of animals. It's animals. And what I like about this one is that it's the interrelation between the birds. The tension in the angle and the distance, and they're kind of together, but they're not. And there's a lot going on that it just makes it visual interesting. I like visually interesting stuff.
Okay, so as you were photographing, you found them visually interesting. What was the moment after you photographed, and what was your thought about the photograph after you photographed it?
The moment after it, just like with some of the like landscapes or other things, yeah, I start to think like, geez, where does this fit in? What would I do with this? Would it
Right.
be, like something that I could use graphically, um, like a photo bill?
Hmm.
Part of their thing, they have a camera, but they also have a pigeon. You know, and for me, a pigeon is one of the other symbols of New York. It's a big apple, but there's a pigeon right next to it because he's hungry. Um, So there could be a graphic element that I could cut that out and make a photo illustration, like a layered photo illustration with the birds, and maybe have something between them of interest that would be uh, graphically appealing. And it shifts around because I'll look at stuff and like you said, I'll decide whether it's a image good enough to stand alone or whether or not it needs work or needs help or needs something extra. Um, Sometimes you're able to capture the something extra, and sometimes not, and I have no problem with photo illustration, adding stuff to augment an image. I really enjoyed the creative process and how creatives use photography and other mediums or digital mediums or adding paint to the surface of a photograph to make it a more interesting piece of art.
Okay.
And
Let's
I
talk
think
about your next
that's all I
photograph.
have.
No, you got
What, got more?
you added one called Salties.
Oh no, that's just kind of I got, being a former Navy guy and a sailor, I get I like nautical things. I'll shoot sailboats just for no good reason. And this guy, I've never seen him before at like an amusement area, and I thought he was kind of cool. When I
What kind
drove
of prize
across country.
did you? What kind of prize did he?
I didn't play it.
throw it?
I did not. I did not. You don't play with
Well,
salty sailors,
yeah, it
and you
looks like
definitely don't give
you,
them money.
you might get old. Was it old fish sticks? Old fish sticks.
Yeah, he kind of has
Oh
the
my God.
Gorton fisherman outfit there. But one of the best things was going up um, through Boston. Where did the oh God, Perfect Storm, those sailors, where did they were oh my God,
I thought they were in Nova Scotia, but it's been so long, I don't remember.
not Nova Scotia. They were Gloucester, the Gloucestermen. I saw they had I passed the monument or statue they have to all the Gloucester sailors who went out and never came back. And he's similarly dressed with his hat and ready for the weather at the steering wheel. But anything nautical, I'll take a snapshot of it more for myself than for display. Um, so I mean, the moment is there. It is memory, and those pictures, the only life they really hold or continue are personal. They're just in their own little folder, and visit them
But
every.
I think what Ken's talking about is that after that spark that you get, that initial joy from capturing the image, is there a point where the love is gone, or do they just always remind you every time?
They'll always be everything.
Mhm.
Spark
Yeah.
never is.
Yeah. I think when someone calls their photographs a sketch, I think that sort of probably gives me a good perspective on what their thought processes is as after the love is gone. It's not about thing. It's
Yes,
about seeing and sketching it and sketching out
that's
ideas.
Yeah,
shorthand
and
for
then
the love is gone.
because a sketch. I mean, like the discussion we've been having about the photographer who shot a really simple setup and then augmented it and made it look like a Vogue cover, that a sketch can be fleshed out. You can. I mean, you look at Da Vinci's sketches. Did his end work look anything like his sketch? Nope, because he fleshed it out. And you can do the same thing with photography. You can take an image. You can
Well,
even shoot it in
all right.
black and white, and then once you get it home, you pop it in the old digital enhancer, and you flesh it out. You say, I wanted this to be like this, but you know what? I can add that, or I could take those people out, or I can move those people from over here to over there. There's so much that you can do with a photograph, and
I
now
mean,
with
but
your
but
digital
then you're saying it
enhancements,
needed to be shot a different way than it was shot, correct?
not necessarily. A sketch is a sketch. You shoot because the idea, vision. We had a whole discussion about vision. You can shoot something and say, you know what? I can use this for this. it's being able to see beyond what's right in front of
But when you say beyond, and you mean enhance or augment or those terms that you use, you're meaning create or add to it something that wasn't necessarily there.
you. Okay.
So you
And
are changing how it was shot.
you're adding to it. You're not. You can change
Okay.
how it was shot. I mean, it is
Okay.
shot, but it's an idea. A photograph can be an idea too.
Okay.
Okay.
And in that way is the sketch that we were talking about earlier,
Okay, guys,
You
for the
got it.
sake of time, let's
or
move
reference
on.
photo.
Yeah, let's move on
Okay.
to Mark's image. All right. Thanks, Greg.
Sure
Okay.
thing.
We're gonna move on to Mark's image. Mark, you're up.
All right. Which one did you post first? Oh, yes. After the love is gone. I decided, well, I walk around with a cell phone these days, like almost everybody.
Mark, for the
I see
benefit,
these.
Mark, for the benefit of Greg, can you just give an idea of the visual that you're showing?
Oh, it's half of an empty suitcase on the ground
I remember.
on
I saw
top
that
of
in here.
concrete.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, good. And it's got a very strong shadow. It's shot directly from above, and it's pretty nifty.
Okay.
The straps, don't mimic exactly, but they kind of mimic the general direction of the shadow as well as the lines in the concrete.
Got it.
I like this photo because it's more of a conceptual piece. It can be used to illustrate, being in a new city after the love is gone and you've moved on from a relationship that wasn't working, or perhaps you're going for a new job because you're left a new job, and or you're starting over. So after the love is gone, you're starting over and you have no more luggage. So it has psychological context. But in terms of the context that you were talking about, Ken, when you photograph when I photograph with my phone, I find that it's much more spontaneous than some of the things I do with dedicated camera systems.
Mhm.
And so I'll walk around and I'll see something. And just like a lot of the photos that Greg sees, I'll go, oh, this is pretty amusing. Or I have some thought. In this particular case,
He's dropping out. What did he
no,
say?
it stays. So there's no love lost because it actually still holds the same joy for me as when I photographed. It's a really nice conceptual piece of art. You can go on to the next one unless you guys want to say anything about this one.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Now this one was really kind of dedicated to you guys because I know you guys grew up in Red Hook, and I would hear a lot about the granary in Red Hook. So I happened to be there the other day,
Uh-huh.
and after the love is gone, was sort of like, you guys left, so to a certain extent, people always say, well, if you love the town or the neighborhood, you stay. That's like kind of the idea. But there's a certain amount of love that's lost when people want to move on to something better and different. But at the same time, this is being renovated. The refinery is in the background, but in the foreground, what you'll see is they'll be building in Red Hook Park brand new athletic facilities. There'll be a soccer field and I think baseball field, but definitely a soccer field. Oh, and a track.
Mhm.
And so after the love is gone, it may seem like a space is abandoned, but in actuality, it really isn't, because here in New York, space is always at a premium. And what you're going to find is that there's always renewal. It may take 50 years, but there's always something that can be done. And once the renewal begins, and it takes, the new neighborhood becomes established. And you guys, when you visit home, you'll see a greater park than you saw when you were growing up. Now, for me, this particular image really only meant I got to show you guys that I could take a picture of the refinery. Not a great one, but I took a picture of the refinery.
It's a grain terminal. It's not a refinery.
Oh, excuse me, not the
There's a
refinery, the grain
Yeah,
terminal.
grain.
Sorry, the grain terminal. I'm sorry. The refinery is on the other side of it. But it's the grain terminals. The grain terminal, the refinery, and the winery. Those are the three big ones. The
Yeah.
grain terminal. Thank you.
Winery.
the-
What winery is down in Red Hook?
I think they have a
Or
winery
what?
now, but yeah. Yeah. Red Hook has changed. But yeah.
Refinery. The only refinery was over there was the Revere Sugar that burned down.
Well, it's way demolished. Been years ago since they demolished it, so it's gone
Well,
more than a decade ago.
I took photos of the Domino Sugar factory, but this was more interesting for me, for you guys. So
Okay.
there you go, the grain refinery, and you guys have always
Grain
have kind of-
terminal.
Grain terminal.
Oh.
Grain terminal.
there you go. The terminal refinery. Wait, what is it?
Okay, now he's
The
playing.
grain,
Okay,
the
we got
grain terminal. There you go. You guys have always been talking about. You can tell how much I've listened by how much I know the name. Anyway,
Yeah,
the grain terminal
That's
is
what
there,
friends do, they
and-
listen.
and that's my tribute to you guys. The refining grain winery.
Okay, thank you, Mike. I
Anyway.
appreciate it.
Right.
Okay, I'm gonna cut this short for now, guys, because we're on the 30-minute mark, and I just want to let the people out there know. Thank you for joining us. You've heard three very divergent conversations and thoughts about after
Shouldn't
the
pick,
love is
Greg.
gone, whether it was literal, whether it was figurative, or whether it was imaginative. Those are just three aspects of thinking about your photographs after you've taken them. Let us know what you think in terms of what you go through when you're taking a photograph, the moment after you photograph. What are your thoughts about it? What do you do? Mark, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I took a picture of the grain terminal. There you
Okay.
go.
Greg, any
Anyway,
closing thoughts?
Another great topic. I like the idea of I'd like to actually expand on it and take a picture or go back into the archives and pick out some things that you've shot in the past and that you've revisited and
Uh-huh.
how your vision has changed. That's what I'd really like to see in another episode.
Okay, cool. We'll bring that up. Thanks for joining us. We're the three Black Pratt grads. I'm Kenneth Nelson, here with my good friends Mark Skinner and Greg Cleghorn. We'll see you on the next episode, episode 87. Thanks for joining us.